Over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain the 5 things that you need to create content in 20 minutes a day that attracts 4-figure clients. Clients who pay you 1,000, 2,000 euro, who stay, who refer others like them, and who get massive, massive value out of what you do. Now, first and foremost, I want you to think about why you clicked on this video. And it's going to be one of the 5 things that we're going to cover. I am sure it will be a combination of all 5 or maybe just one of those things. And the first thing that you need, and I have in the title of this video, is a painful problem. A meaningful, painful, valuable problem for you to solve. Now, in my coaching and consulting, when I work with coaches, creators, psychologists, authors, a whole bunch of different people who sell info and coaching in different forms on the internet, one of the most important things that we do is identifying the problem that an individual solves. The more meaningful and more valuable the problem, the bigger the paycheck at the end of the day. And you probably clicked on this video because you're struggling to sign 2K clients. You're maybe already in the coaching or info space, but you're maybe struggling to increase your prices. You're struggling to retain those clients. And that is a painful problem. I know because I've been there. I spent multiple years, 4 or 5 years in the online fitness coaching space, undercharging, overworking, and attracting clients that I honestly didn't really vibe with, and they just didn't take my service as seriously as I wanted them to take it. And part of that was because of the pricing, but part of that was because I was not actually solving a problem that was worth a bigger price. So when we think about pricing, if we want to sell a 4-figure offer, an offer for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 euro, we have to solve a problem that equates to the amount of money that we want to get. And ideally, we want to solve a problem where the amount of money we charge is a good deal for the person on the receiving end, because they go, hey, I pay 2,000 euro for this service, and over the long run, I make money back, I save money in healthcare costs, I get the best relationship that I wouldn't get otherwise. And we want to be able to deliver value that outweighs the investment into your program. So that is the very first step. You need to identify and solve a painful problem. The problem that I solve is building a business that runs without you, building a business that gives you scale and leverage over your time, because I built a business where I essentially had to hustle to serve 53 clients at one point, and they were all paying me, 150, 200 euros a month. And I just had to hustle all the time, send more DMs, create more content, just always do more. And I didn't have any kind of leverage over my time. And so I ended up burning out. I ended up hating what I was doing. And while the money was good, I also basically built a business that I wanted to escape from. And I could have solved much higher value problems if I'd been thinking in that way and charged more money and worked with better clients. So that is the first thing. Get very, very clear on the problem that you solve. If you're in health and fitness, the problem might be health, but more specifically obesity, type 2 diabetes. It might be confidence for guys or girls, people who are struggling to go and get their relationship or go and get a promotion in work. If they got a promotion in work, they might get an extra 10 grand a year. If you charge them 2 grand to solve the problem of not being able to work out, not feeling confident enough to ask for a promotion, not having the energy to work the overtime or hit their deadlines, and effectively just improving their life and their operating system, then you could very easily command 2,000 euros for a service like that. So solve a meaningful and a valuable problem first and foremost. Second thing that you need is you need to be very, very clear on who you solve the problem for. You need to create a journey, a client journey. So if somebody comes and works with you, what is the journey and the transformation that they go on over a 12-month period of time, for example? And right now, maybe you have a 12-week coaching program and people go through the program, and then at the end of the program, they finish up and that's it, right? They lose 5 kg or 10 kg, or maybe you're in a different niche. Maybe you're, in a business niche, for example, and people come through and they work with you for a certain period of time, and then at the end, that's it, they go. There isn't like a long-term client journey. Now, you should know what your client journey looks like. If you had your ideal client for 12, 18, 24 months, what steps would you take them through? Where would they be 6 months after working with you? Where would they be 12 months or into working with you? You need to know this because you can then start talking to people in your content at different stages of this journey. You can start appealing to the psychographic and the internal world of the people who you want to work with by telling client stories of people who've gone through the journey. And clients usually leave, firstly from a retention standpoint, because they run out of future. They don't know what's next. But they also don't invest heavily into something that's not a big transformational change. So if I'm saying, hey, yeah, come and work with me and I'll help you lose 7 kg to go to the beach this summer, that's all well and good, but people are not going to invest very heavily into that because it's not really a big transformation. But if that is the first point in a longer client journey and transformation where, hey, this 7 kg you lose before the holidays builds the foundations, it gets the body fat down to a respectable place, and it gives you the confidence to then go on and move into a performance phase where we'll train to go and run somewhere amazing. One of my clients went running in the Alps this year. He's a fitness coach. He coaches people to get physically in shape, lose body fat, build muscle mass. But the logical next step in his client journey is to follow his own interests and to show clients that, hey, yes, like he did, you can lose this amount of body fat, you can get fitter, you can get healthier, you can build better habits and routines. But the whole reason to do that is so you can go and live an amazing life. You can go and spend 3 days running 75 kilometers through the Alps if that's your vibe. For some people, that's not the vibe. That's okay. But you need to be able to show the client journey and what the outcome is that this person experiences by going through your program and having this transformation. And it's really good to look at yourself. Like, what is your journey that you have been on that you can then bring somebody else through? And if you look at yourself 2 years ago, that's often a good starting point for, well, that's where I'll start my client journey, and I'll coach people who are effectively me from 2 years ago, and I'll bring them through the very journey I have gone through in this specific area of life, which might be health or wealth or relationships or whatever it is. Also, you now have tons of stuff to talk about in content. If you just talk about kind of surface level results that clients get, and you don't talk about the client journey as a whole, you're missing a lot of great marketing material. You're missing a lot of great opportunities to bring people into your world and to really get to know you, your coaching, the people who you help. So that is fundamentally important to your ability to charge more money and also to retain your clients for longer periods of time. The third step is having marketing angles or differentiation. Now, if you have any experience of marketing, and even if you just look at how people market on social media, you will see mindset coaches marketing you on the need to work on your mindset. And they will tell you that systems, skills, strategies don't matter if your mindset is not in the right place. On the flip side, you will have people who talk about running paid ads as being the thing you need to explode your business. And they will also talk about the fact that you don't need mindset, you don't need skills, you don't need systems, you just need our paid ad strategy to go and grow your business. This is the thing that you've been missing. You'll also have somebody on the personal brand side of things where they will say your mindset doesn't matter, your strategies and skills and systems don't really matter. All that matters is how you come across on social media, how you resonate or connect with other people, how you share your values. That is going to be the thing that blows up your business. So all of these people actually sell the same thing, the same outcome, right? All of the people in the mentoring space, they sell you more money. They sell you less time in your business. They sell you more fulfillment. They sell you better quality clients. But the way that they do it is different. And if everyone just sold you on results, then nobody would be able to actually segment or differentiate themselves and stand out in the marketplace. Now, one way that you can stand out is the way that you do things. So having a specific way, and I've just one example that comes to my mind of a client who last year was working with high-performing individuals, people with tight schedules, deadlines, in the health and fitness niche. So they wanted to lose body fat, they wanted to be healthier, they wanted to combat those diseases I mentioned, so obesity, type 2 diabetes, these kind of things that pose a real health risk later in life. And they wanted to do that while also maintaining high output in corporate jobs or in their business or things like this as well. So they're their big difficulty and their big obstacle was not like knowledge. They didn't need more knowledge, or maybe they did to an extent, but their big obstacle was actually time and energy. This is where they ran out. And when they ran out of time, they didn't work out. And when they ran out of energy, they didn't work out, and they ate shit food because their body was craving energy as well. So my client had to solve these two things. And effectively, he came up with something that was called the 2-3-3 method. Now, underneath the method itself, it wasn't that different to what everyone else did, right? The 2 stood for 2 hours of working out each week, which in the fitness space is pretty common. Lots of people offer that kind of approach. The first 3 was 3 workouts a week. So that 2 hours was split into 3 workouts of 40 minutes, give or take. And then the final 3 was 3 lifestyle habits, which, if I remember correctly, were 10,000 steps, 8 hours of sleep, and food tracking. Now, fundamentally, that's all the same stuff that other people talk about. But he was able to create differentiation by actually naming it, by solving a specific problem for a specific demographic, which kind of goes back to that very first point. But he also did it in a different way, where he said, I'm going to help you with your scheduling. I'm going to help you with the fact that you don't have time to train 6 hours a week like a bodybuilder. We're going to get your training into 2 hours, 3 workouts, and 3 basic habits, and that's it. And he was able to create differentiation for himself by having that approach and by serving a specific demographic. Now, he's obviously going to talk in his content about why bodybuilding is not a great approach to getting in shape for his demographic. Most coaches and creators right now are really struggling. They feel invisible. They feel like they're just lost in a sea of content and trying to outpost other people, trying to do more of what other people do. People actually go to their feed and they go through their feed and find other people's reels that have done well and copy them. That is the opposite of differentiation. And yes, some of them will pop off and get you views, but if you want to attract clients who pay you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, that is not the way to do it. You're appealing to the masses, and the masses don't generally have that kind of budget. You need to go to a smaller segment of the market, and you need to have differentiation and marketing angles that speak to these people so they actually feel seen and heard. Now, this might be a lot to take in, so if this is interesting to you and you want to know more about it, there's a link in the description which you can click. It'll bring you to a video which runs you through my exact model that I use to bring coaches and creators to 10K and beyond without sacrificing all of their time. And on top of that, you will get added to my daily newsletter where I share insights on all of this stuff. I'm in the trenches doing this. I absolutely eat, sleep, and breathe online business. I do it every day in my own business with my clients, and I share everything. Like, I sit down every morning with my cup of tea or my cup of coffee after I've done some meditation, and I bang out an email, and I absolutely love it. And there's so much value on that list that if you just sit on that list and like take out a pen and paper every morning and write stuff down, you will make more money in less time. So click the link if you're interested, or if you're not an email person, hit the subscribe on YouTube, because I'm going to bang these videos out every single week, and I'm going to fill them with as much value as I possibly can. So number 4 is your personal brand and authenticity, being authentic. So again, like I mentioned, there's just more and more people creating content these days, and most of them sound the same. They're generic, they're talking about the same stuff, they're copying each other's videos. And, you know, there's a lot of like highly edited stuff, and there's a lot of just stuff that's not that authentic and feels very informative and boring and value packed. And if you think about how humans evolved over thousands, millions, however many years, this is terrible. I don't even know how many years we've been around, but it's been a while. Someone's going to be like, it's not millions of years, the dinosaurs were around, whatever. Let me know in the comments how wrong I am. But we've been around for a long time, and we evolved to pass information through stories. So as a kid, you listen to bedtime stories. As an adult, you tune into stories on social media. You follow people who've had inspirational stories. You watch TED Talks. You watch movies. You watch series. You maybe actually read books. Some people still read books. I read books. But we follow stories. Like, we engage with stories. Stories are really, really fundamental to how we communicate and interact with other people, and how we extract and learn information. Like, before there was the internet and podcasts and YouTube videos and this stuff, You learned from the older person in your tribe, and you probably learned by like sitting around a campfire and hearing stories and the lessons and the wisdom coming through in those stories. So we're wired to just tune into stories. And now more than ever, your story is really, really important. Now, your personal brand is not only your story, it also comes back to, who you talk to, the stuff you talk about. So there's a little bit of crossover with these different things, but your personal brand is absolutely fundamental. If you are posting informative value content of like, here's 3 tips, here's 3 high protein foods, here's 3 tips to, here's 3 things to say in a sales call if you're in the business space. Like, if you're posting that stuff, you are just not going to last, because AI can do all of that. It can do it 1,000 times faster than you can, and it's going to get exponentially better at doing it. And people are going to just tune out. I've already tuned out to so much content online because I can just see it's like ChatGPT banging it out, and it's just informative tips, and there's no emotion, there's no soul, there's no connection to it. But people's stories, people sharing their values, people sharing what they struggle with, people sharing where they started, where they are now, people just showing themselves, people being silly, like, within reason, but showing a human side to themselves, and showing me that this is somebody I would connect with, this is someone I want to give my time and my attention, because everyone has the promises, right? Everyone has the outcomes. Every single coach on the planet can help you lose 5 or 10 kg. Right? So people are not buying based on that outcome anymore. It's important that you have it. It's important that you can deliver it. But people also know that I follow 50 coaches in this niche, and I can get the outcome from all of them. So I'm going to pick the one that I align the most with, who I like the most, who I trust the most, who I want to spend time with, who inspires me. And your personal brand is at the forefront of all of those things. So it's really, really important. And just being authentic, like, I don't script any of this shit, not that it's shit, but I don't script this stuff, I just talk from experience. And the whole scripted YouTube and stuff, it just doesn't fly with me. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels fake. It feels forced. And I'm pretty sure you would feel that if that's what I did. I also don't do like these 30-second reels where I'm trying to cram stuff in and get your attention, because it's just not authentic to me. I don't vibe with that content. I vibe with actually listening to people talk for 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm the guy who listens to like the 8-minute reel somebody posts, the one that gets like 10% of the views of the other ones. I'm the guy who's in the 10%. But what people don't realize is the people who are in the 10%, they're the buyers. They're the people who buy. So you sharing your life and your story and your experiences is just far more valuable than getting more views or anything like that. It's really, really unimportant. And here's an interesting thing. This time last year, I was posting, and my written posts were getting maybe 1,000 views, and I just changed the content that I was posting, and I just started posting more business related content because I've been running a fitness business for 6 years before that. And when I kind of went through that change of changing my content, there was a bit of a spell where, my views were like 5, 6, 7, 800, which for me was kind of like, standard at the time. But what's crazy is my following hasn't grown all that much in the last year, like not exponentially, like it's grown by quite a few hundred, but not exponentially, but my views have like 10x'd. So on written posts, not reels, not virally stuff, and you can go to my Instagram and check this out, but on written posts, my written posts are getting like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 views on like a 2-post carousel. And people are actually engaging with them because I'm telling stories, I'm giving value, I'm sharing insights, but I'm not just posting tips. Like, the content on my page cannot be taken and just put on someone else's page. It can't be replicated to another coach because it's very specific and people are following my storyline. So it's really, really important that you get personal brand dialed in. Now, part number 5 is going to be slightly contradictory, but you'll understand why, to part number 4. And that is how you present yourself. I would say it is your professionalism. And that's not a very good way to describe it. It's more so your production quality and how you are perceived. So right now, I took the time to set up my living room and put some nice lights. I have my HD camera. I have a microphone. I'm making an effort to make the production quality of this video high so that you, the viewer, takes me seriously as somebody who can help you, as somebody who is committed to doing things to a high standard and a high level of excellence. I could have taken my phone and saved myself some time and just walked down the street and talked to the camera and, had background noise and whatever else as well. But that's not the kind of person that I want to show up as. And this is actually authentic to me. You might think, well, all these lights and, making the effort to make the production quality, how authentic is that? But it is authentic because one thing that I value is just doing things well, doing things to a high standard. And the reality is, no matter what anybody says, you will be perceived in a certain way. And depending on who your clients are, you have to think about what is the perception that I want my clients to have of me, and how do I want to be perceived? And we would be foolish to think it's all just about authenticity, and we don't have to worry at all about the opinions of others, because at the end of the day, it is the other's opinion whether or not they're going to buy from you and sign up to your program, and whether they want to spend time with you as well. So it's really important that we actually think about getting that production quality locked in, so that you are seen to be someone of a high standard, someone who has excellence as a value. And when a stranger sees you on YouTube, they're going to cast judgment, and they're going to make a snapshot first impression. And you have two opportunities to make a first impression: how you look and what you say. And I don't care how much of a saint you are, we all judge people. We all judge people based on how they look, their appearance. If you walk down the street and there's someone in the middle of the street with the shirt off and a bottle of beer in the middle of the day, you immediately judge that person, you give them a wider berth. And it's the way it is. And you might be very right to do so, but we have to remember that we're social creatures, and just being authentic, if you're authentic and you being authentic is being way over the top in a certain area, or, if authentically you don't shower, for example, I hope that you do shower, but if authentically you don't shower because you want to save the planet and not use too much water, and every 4 days you take a shower and you come onto your content and you are scruffy, but you're trying to sell to people who are not scruffy, that's going to harm you. Now, I know that's a bit of a wild example, but it's just make the effort. Make people feel like you are a premium option, because if you want to be a premium option, you have to be a premium option. And this is not just about let me look like a premium option. It's your clients' results as well. If someone comes and works with me, they will basically rise to my standard. And if my standard is lower, they have a lower standard to rise to. If I keep my standards high, the clients who work with me will rise to my standard. And hopefully I can continue to push the standard up for those people. So it's really, really important that you set the standard, your production quality is good, you look after your appearance, not just physical, but like your appearance online when you're making content. And finally, because how do I do this in just 20 minutes a day on? That was the caption in the video, right? You remember, that was the title. All of these elements can be brought into your content by being a reporter in your business. So the 5 elements and the 5 things that we discussed should show up in your content on a daily basis, where you are sitting down to create content, and it can be written content, it can be video content, it can be whatever type of content you enjoy doing. But your job is to show up and tell people about what's going on in your world, your own personal world, the world of your clients, the results that you're getting, the things that you're learning, the insights that you have got. You don't want to just spit out information. You want to tell a story. You want to bring people on a journey, and you want to give them so much value, so much insight, and so much know, like, and trust that they are happy to give you €2,000 or more on a call.